Hey, welcome to our midweek conversation.
Hi. You're supposed to say I'm Dennis.
Wait, she's Dennis.
No! He's Dennis. I'm Angelica.
Oh.
And we're back. We're back, and clearly we need to leave again because our brains aren't working yet.
Well, I just gave permission for someone to get my attention by throwing something at my head.
Yes.
So.
Just anything, he said. Well, then he started to specify.
No, I didn't. I started to qualify that.
Well, he did
because I didn't want it to be too heavy. I didn't want it to be too fast.
Blah, blah.
I didn't want it to be too dense.
He didn't say it initially.
I didn't want it to be too big.
Wow. And the velocity. Remember the velocity?
Yeah, I said fast, but velocity.
No, you
right?
said velocity.
I know I did.
Okay.
But I said anyway.
Yeah.
So if you want to get my attention, just go ahead and throw something at my head right now. And right now, only right now for the next 15 minutes while you're checking this out.
Oh my goodness.
How's that?
Good.
Good. I have a little protection. I have a barrier.
Right, especially since it's not live. So
Oh.
the 15 minutes that they get, they don't even know they have until now.
I'll probably get a bill for somebody's screen. You told me to throw it at.
Yeah.
Anyway. So how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was fun. I enjoyed, there was like a little bit of rain yesterday. I liked that. I know we had like...
It's nice to have a little bit as opposed to 3 inches
so
at a time,
much.
a deluge.
Yeah. So it was kind of nice to be like, oh, we were just working around and there was like a pitter patter of rain. I was like, this is so nice.
Yeah.
So I liked that. Yeah. How was your weekend? How was preaching?
I enjoy preaching, so that
Yeah.
part was great.
That part was
I think it
fun.
went a little bit too long though, but aside from that, there's just a lot there.
No, I
So.
think we've went longer before.
So one of the purposes, here we go. She who held herself to 22 minutes and 25 seconds or whatever it was. But anyway, hey, in case you're new, Midweek Conversation is about kind of taking a step back and looking at our message from the weekend. So this week we were back in Revelation chapter 2, and we
Yes.
looked at a postcard to the church at Pergamum, a letter to the church at Pergamum. And some people say Pergamon, M-O-N, M-U-N, or M-O-S. Depends on what country you're from.
I've always
But,
heard Pergamum. I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's because we're in the U.S.
Yeah.
But in any case,
In any case.
you can go check that out, check out the message. And then the 2 weeks prior to that, we've been talking about where Satan came from and what Satan's tactics are. And once again, Satan rears his head in this section of Revelation. But any thoughts, comments, questions?
It's interesting because, when we start in Ephesus, the church gets like this, like a compliment sandwich type thing where it's just like, hey, I see you, but you do need to figure this out, like check yourself before you wreck yourself. However, I still love you, so you. And then we had the church at Smyrna, which was the only one I'm pretty sure.
Pure compliment.
Yeah, which is pure compliment. And then now
Praise.
we're back. We're back to getting like okay, hey, I see you. This one was like, it feels more severe even than the compliment sandwich at Ephesus though, because there's like more specifics into what they're like. We do talk about the Nicolaitans in the first letter, but this one is like calls out specific
People and groups.
and things like that. Like you get details to what they're doing. So it feels to me like, okay, something is like ramping up. And it was interesting to me because it's not even like a coastal place. But for some reason it is like an epicenter nonetheless. Like people are going there out of their way to get to this place. It's not like you just pulled up on your boat. Like you have to go there. So yeah, it was interesting. It definitely got and being called the throne.
The throne of Satan.
Satan? Okay, so we're getting severe. We're getting more severe. So I don't know, those were that's how I was feeling going into it. Just initially I was like, whoa, what is going on with them? You know? It was kind of scary. I felt bad too though, because for the people who were doing trying their best and like fighting against the culture and like sticking to their guns or whatever, even for them, like you're stuck. It feels like you're stuck in this place that's like horrible. Even like to a degree, I can't conceptualize what that really would be like, you know, because we're in the West right now. You know what I'm saying? We're in this place. I live in this nice town. I have like this great church I can go to. Nobody. We're not like running around having to fight tooth and nail with people who are like coming and talking about, come to this cult and worship with me. Like so I just end up feeling really empathetic with them, which I think is a part of the beauty of Revelation, because it's one of those places, like you said, though the Bible, these scriptures aren't written like to us but for us, there's like instances where suddenly we're in the story, we can be a part of the story, we can connect with it. And I feel like this is one of those moments where it's just like, oh my gosh, like imagine yourself there, imagine what they're going through. I don't know, it just like, it brings a new depth to it for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, that's the type of, and the fact that like people are keeping their faith through that's the type of faith I personally want to get to have, that it's like that infallible, that it's like that strong, it's really founded, because you can be surrounded by horrible X, Y, and Z. You can be at the throne of Satan, you know, you're surrounded by it, you're stuck in this place, and yet you're still not going to like bend. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's so encouraging, you know? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it was that different from what we live in, you know, because so one of the things that we talked about was how the city encompasses a large hill, almost 1,000 feet tall, and has a temple on it with this altar, the altar of Pergamum, where they offered sacrifices and potentially even murdered Christians there. Mm-hmm. But I'm not suggesting that we murder Christians, right. At least not in our area of the world. In other areas of the world they do. Yeah. But you know, the call to compromise, I think exists in every culture. And these people, I mean, as they're described, it says, I know where you live, where Satan has his throne. I know where you live. Where Satan has his throne. Yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, even though they killed Antipas. You still maintain your faith. Right. And so, I mean, I think, I would hope that believers here would do the same thing. Right. But then he goes on, and he says, there are some among you who hold to the teaching of Balaam. And you know, I look around our culture, and don't we do similar compromises where there are things that we cling to, actually, be it materialism, and not necessarily economic materialism, but even scientific materialism, where we think, you know, the ultimate nature of stuff is material as opposed to spiritual. I don't know. It's just I find myself in this text. Probably more than others.
No, that's a good way to think about it. Because even if it's not specifically that exact pantheon of gods specifically in our day and age, like we don't talk about Zeus anymore, but that archetype still is looming around, and we're still worshiping and like idolizing. I get.
So a lot of people went to the city because of the temple of Asclepius, which essentially was a hospital. In our sense, and there's a sense where, you know, if you look at doctors today, they wear their vestments, right? A lot of them wear the white coat. They actually have the sign of Asclepius on their jackets.
You're right.
And, you know, it's the high priest and high priestess of medicine. And hey, if you're a doc, if you're
No,
in
yeah,
healthcare, we're not drawing this as a hard and fast analogy, but we do have these groups of people within our society which get worship. I often lament that ministers don't have the place in society that they used to have.
Yeah.
But then I'm glad about it at the same time, because that means that we have to be real people and earn that credibility. I'm glad I'm not in a culture where just because you're a pastor, you're worshipped. I mean, in past generations, it's been like that. I'm glad I'm not there.
That's an interesting.
It's also why I'm glad I'm not at a megachurch. I would be afraid of that kind of of reverence and reverential treatment.
I think it's natural too for humans to automatically do that. Like, we even see, like, when angels come down to deliver messages, instantly people want to be like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, we want to start just like worshiping this thing that we think is awesome. We think it's great. We think, you know, so it makes sense. But yeah, there's such a danger in that, especially when, even back in the day, when preachers or whoever just got preferential treatment just for being that, in that career, they were still just people. Like they were still just people like we are now seeing. But yeah, totally. That's an interesting thought.
Are you saying I'm just people?
You're just people.
You don't think I'm, like up here?
I think you're pretty fun.
No.
But you're just a dude after all.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just a person. I'm just a girl. But it's okay. It's okay. Especially, okay, in that sense too, this might be a little off topic, but that makes me think about, to the one who's like, given more will be expected of him. I can't remember that exact verse, where it's referenced. But it's like, be aware. Like, it might seem pretty great to be at the top of your game or to be this great person, but more is going to be asked of you, and more responsibilities, and like more, like.
And teachers will be judged more harshly, particularly
So it's
teachers
like,
of Scripture. Yeah.
Be aware of like what you're asking for, and if you really do want that, do you really? That just means more responsibility for you. If that's what you want, if you want to be more of a servant to everyone, all the time, always watched, always checking yourself for everything you're doing. That's if you want that. Go get it, I guess. But that's what you're asking for. It's not just that people will be like, oh my gosh, I know your name. That's like, this much.
Yeah. That's why when I hear these pastors who fall morally, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because it means that they're not paying any attention. They're not paying heed to Scripture and to those warnings and to the moral code which we're held to. I used a phrase. I'm not sure I like the phrase moral purity.
I liked it.
You do like that?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I don't associate myself with the whole purity culture thing.
Oh yeah.
But
right.
the idea of moral purity, that is of striving for righteousness in our lives, and having our outward self match the righteousness which we have received from Christ.
Totally.
I think that's what we should be moving toward. And then I see these pastors who fall from grace, as they say.
Right.
And it's like, what are they thinking? Or they're not thinking, Or I used a phrase, and I'm not going to say what here, but they were thinking with a different part of their body, And
Yeah.
it's like, why? Haven't you gotten beyond this?
Totally.
You were 16 at one time.
No, for real.
But it's, yeah.
I liked that idea. I like how it was tied up in the phrase moral purity, because I know that like they can be buzzwords, moral purity. Those are both buzzwords. But I think sometimes, like, it's such a reverent thing to say, and I think sometimes there's just no other way to say things than just as they are. Like sometimes it is just like a hard and fast rule, you know, and like some like being moral, so being like Christ for the Christian is not an option. You don't get to not be like Christ and just be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I don't follow anything Christ does. Okay, well then no. You know what I'm saying?
I wear my WWJD bracelet, but I can behave however
I can do
want
whatever.
to.
Like, okay, no, you can't. So I think that's what's tied up in that. And then purity, it's also not an option because if you're being like Christ, you're following along, then you're trying to be pure.
Well, you know, as I was thinking about it, these letters really hover around that whole idea. Return to your first love in the letter to Ephesus. You know, what's that? It's this purity of love, purity of intention toward Christ. And there's one of my favorite illustrations. I'm not going to say what it is. You got to stay tuned for the rest of these little postcards. But it's totally about moral purity, and it's always, almost 99.5% of the time, interpreted wrong. And we're going to see why that is. I have to build the case for it, but it's really cool when you see what it's truly about. And it's again, it's one of these for us, not to us deals, because we don't understand where it's coming from. But anyway, that'll be coming up.
That's exciting. It means we're moving on in the Revelation.
Yeah, we are. So I really love that image of I will give you a white stone with your name on it. So there's a promise that Jesus makes to those who persevere through difficult times, who persevere through tests of their faithfulness. And he says, I will give you some of the hidden manna. Reference Indiana Jones.
Oh my goodness.
And then I will give you a white stone with a name. I'll read it exactly as it comes from here. I will give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. So it's like Jesus' pet name for us. And I don't know if people find that corny or not, but I find it kind of precious, right? That wow, God, Jesus has this pet name for me.
Well, because you said like you were like the postcard is talking to like this broad group. It's talking, and even that it's taken around to the various churches. And then suddenly in this verse, we see that he's talking to us directly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness! Like it just zoomed in, and it's just like you and God.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, he cares about like me. You know, individually, apart from everyone else. Also, in everything, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a part of Christianity, particularly American Christianity, which is very individualistic, right? And it's all about me, and salvation is for me. And I've been more part of a movement which has taken it from me to we. But it's good to come back to the me from time to time. And here's an explicit me passage. Right. So yeah, we just have to remember that. And I do have that very round stone, that white stone, on my desk, and I love to pick it up and just remember that passage.
That's so cool.
And I'd encourage people, if you were at the message, or if you haven't heard it yet, or you want to read this, go out and go for a hike, and maybe go around. I like to go to Devil's Lake.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking there's a lot of quartzite there. You can't find round white rocks a lot. But anyway, if you come around a stone that's about a big, pick it up, and if it's something that you could carry around in your pocket, it's a great touchstone.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes from. You carry this in your pocket, and you touch it, and you remember Jesus cares about me. He's gonna have a pet name for me. I can't wait to find out what that is. I hope it's not something really like I'm gonna be embarrassed by.
No, only him and you will know it.
So do you have an embarrassing name that people used to call you?
No, not an embarrassing name. I do have a nickname. My nickname is Jelly, but I don't like everyone to call me that. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
They do anyway, but
yeah.
I don't like it.
This is really silly, but my brothers used to call me Rocky.
Rocky? Like the boxer?
No, this is way before that.
Oh.
Okay, but they called me Rocky, and it was just a passing thing. I don't know if they would even remember doing this.
That's funny.
But in the culture that I grew up in, when you're dating someone and you want to go steady, you would give them an ID bracelet. And so I collected some money back when I was a kid. An ID bracelet, so it's a snap bracelet, and it has a rectangular piece right here, and you get your name written on it.
Aww.
So I was going out with the woman who is now my wife, and rather than have the jeweler carve Dennis into the name, I had them carve Rocky into it.
Bro!
I should have brought that with as an illustration, because she still has that bracelet, and whenever I see it, I just say, oh, that is so stupid. Why did I do that when I was 14 or 15 or whatever it was?
Give you a pass, but...
Rocky. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh no!
But no, it was not. It was way before the movie. Okay.
I know, but that's so.
But it's not like Debbie,
cute.
runs her fingers through my hair and says, "Oh, Rocky, I love
Oh my God! Cut the show! Oh my goodness! Cut the show!
So, it'll be really embarrassing if when Jesus shows up and he hands me this tongue,
a rock called Rocky,
and he has a big smile on his face, and he says, "Here you go, Rocky."
Oh, okay.
Well, hey, he called Peter Petros, and that's the Rock.
The Rock.
So, yeah, we actually had a series on 1 Peter, and we called it Rocky.
Really?
So, yeah, because
that's awesome.
Jesus renamed Simon.
I can't believe you did that.
Peter
That is so
Petros.
funny. That is so funny.
This might be the first time I've ever told that story publicly.
That's cute. That's funny.
Anyway, why don't you go ahead and let us know what
that should be the thumbnail
what silly
on this
names
video
that you've had, okay? And let's all be self-revelatory here and share these.
Oh, now you want everybody else to share theirs
maybe.
too.
So we can all have dirt on each other, okay?
Yes.
That's the whole idea here.
Exactly. That's funny.
Hey, something else that happened this last week. We had our first, what did we call it? Our site listening session.
Oh yeah.
Our site plan listening session. Mm-hmm. And if you've been to River Hills, the actual physical place, we're kind of running out of room in our building. And mm-hmm. we need to think about how we can start to push out some of these walls and do some things. So I've shared that I'm hard pressed to try to figure this out. And so what we're doing is a number of listening sessions, and we had our first one this last week. We had 12 people show up, and we had a great conversation. Lasted about 75, 90 minutes. And just a great conversation, a lot of ideas, a lot of excitement mm-hmm. for what we can do as a church. Mm-hmm. So I'd encourage you to check out the app and see. If you don't know what the app's about, just you can go into your app store and look for RHC, River Hills Church, RHC Sauk, and download the app, and then you can have access to information about the church and sign-ups to various things. So we'd love to have your input on that. Maybe we should do an online listening session.
I was just thinking that.
For people who are only online with us. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Would you like to lead that?
Yeah, sure. I don't really know much about building planning, but I could be there.
Well, it's a virtual building, right? So,
right.
But anyway, at least for those who are online. But anything else we need to talk about?
Not really. Well, thank you for coming back to the Midweek conversation.
Yeah.
I guess we like
in
doing
person,
this.
Or on whatever you call this.
On whatever, yeah.
Not virtual.
Not virtual.
Or at least not totally virtual.
Not totally, but yeah, we like doing this. Yeah.
And I like being here.
Yeah.
Physically, so that
we have several different ways that we do it. The virtual version and then this version, which is fun.
This is always a little bit more animated.
Yeah, I think it's because
harder to
we're
do
in person.
Yeah.
Through the computer screen is way less personal.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
It just reminds me of COVID and
yeah, totally.
I don't want to go there.
It's got bad. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Yeah.
in any case, thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you either in person or online this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
And or next week for Midweek Conversations.
Yes.
So thanks a lot for your time. Great to see you.
Bye.
Bye now.